You're listening to the Ship Less Traveled, where small ships make big impressions.
We're two travel agents with a big obsession for small ship cruising.
From the Arctic to the Amazon, from European rivers to remote islands, if you can reach it by small ship, we're all about it.
We're curious, candid, and not afraid to say it like it is. So grab your life jackets.
Because you're cruising on the Ship Less Traveled. Hey everybody, welcome to the new year. It's 2026. Lorraine, what'd you do for New Year's this year?
Oh, do you know what? I was in bed.
I didn't make it to midnight either, just to let our viewers know.
I was in bed the first New Year ever. I was as sick as a dog, Dave. I had that flu and I've
Yeah.
still got it a bit in my throat and my cough. So excuse me if I kind of explode here, but yeah, I wasn't good at all. It hit me hard.
Well, I'm sorry to hear about that. I've just been like laying low because, as most of the world knows, people that follow my social media, I know you know that I came back from my big Antarctica trip just before Christmas. I was like St. Nicholas coming in just in the nick of time. And it was such a great trip that I was exhausted and I didn't want to do anything else but just eat Christmas cookies, maybe a dip in the hot tub, and just unwind because we talk about a trip of a lifetime.
Oh, do you know what? We need to hear all about this. We need to hear all about it now.
Absolutely. Well, before I get into it, just in case you're new, everybody, this is the Ship Less Traveled, and we are a podcast. We are two travel agents that are just totally small ship obsessed. And we're two travel agents from different sides of the pond. I'm Dave Wentworth with DestinationWhatever.com, and I'm here in Canada.
And I'm Lorraine McCall of Bespoke Cruise Holidays, and I'm in England.
Absolutely. You know, we had some Brits on this cruise. We had, of course, I was there with my friends, some Canadians, some Americans, everybody, the whole world is interested in Antarctica. And now I can talk all about it. So, where shall we begin, my friend? What's your number one question for me?
Oh, do you know what? I obviously kept up with your social media while you're away, and I haven't spoken with you since you've been back due to
That's
illness
true.
and everything. So, do you know what? Just reel through from the beginning, all the highlights. Just give us the highlights. We need to know this.
Well, I mean,
And
let's talk.
low lights, do you know? No, talk true. Talk the truth here. What didn't you like? What didn't go how you thought it would?
Spoiler alert, the Drake's Passage, and I'll talk about that specifically in a moment. Because, of course, everybody always asks, what's the Drake Passage? You hear so much about it. Well, I'll tell you about it. And I had two very different experiences. But in terms of highlights, I would say the light, it was total light when we went there. And that was part of our planning for going to Antarctica in December because you can experience the 24 hours of daylight. And
Wow.
it's so true. And we were leaving Ushuaia, and I would say it was setting around 11:30 at night, and you'd get a couple of hours of night. But by the time we got to Antarctica, it was just round the clock light. And I experienced that quite interestingly because, again, we can get more into the bigger picture, but I did an overnight camping experience in Antarctica. So that was one.
Yeah.
And I couldn't sleep because it was light the whole time. I missed my
Oh,
cabin where I
wow.
had those blackout curtains.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess when you're outside, there's nothing you can do about that apart from stick your head under the sleeping bag.
And so it was interesting. So, we can talk about the camping here. I wish I would have brought a night mask. I had one in my cabin, but I didn't think to bring it because I could have put that on. And I wish I
Top
would have
tip,
brought it.
guys.
Yeah, just to shut out the light. So I did an open air camping. They offer two ways. You can do it with somebody in a tent, or you can do this. They call it a bivy sleeping bag, or I've heard it called biovac sleeping bags. But it's a sleeping bag with like this little dome that just basically pops over your head, and the light came through that all night long. So I couldn't sleep for that reason. My pillow wasn't that comfortable. Not to sound like the princess and the pea, but it wasn't doing what I needed. And lastly, but here's the reason why you go. There are night noises all night long in Antarctica of ice calving, and we heard an avalanche that the guy said was probably like way, way, way far away, but you could hear it travel across the miles.
Oh,
Whales spurting. It was like a symphony all night long.
Wow. Do
Yeah,
you know, the not sleeping thing truly sucks, but it must be, amazing to be able to hear all that so clear without any other pollution or anything getting in the way, no traffic, nothing.
absolutely. And sometimes down there, I just felt like I've come to the end of the world and there's no noise at all. And you realize how much noise whether you live in the countryside or you live in the heart of London, there's
There's
noise
always, yeah.
and there's just no noise. And then at other points, I was like, Antarctica has something to say. It's noisy. The penguins squawk, the birds make noise, the ice, the water, the whales. Very interesting. The wind. So you can pick up on these noises like little granular details.
Hear everything.
It's
Wow.
amazing. Yeah.
Wow. Love that.
When I went to the Amazon, you heard so many noises, but things were all happening at once. Whereas with Antarctica, you'd be like, oh, there's the whales. There's the ice. It was
Pick
funny.
out all the noises, pick out each individual one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was
That's
awesome that
amazing.
way. So the camping experience was great. I was glad to get back to my warm cabin. I mean, I did something that not a lot of people can say they did to spend a night sleeping on Antarctica and in the way I did it with the open air sleeping bag. And I did have to open it up towards the end because it was just getting warm with my breath in there. And so I ventilated it and I kind of embraced the cold. And I was just like standing out there, just like watching it like this, just like looking at it. And then I
Wow.
had to go to the bathroom. And so our viewers and you might want to know, well, how does that work when you're camping in Antarctica? Do you want to know how the bathroom works?
Yeah, go
Of
do
course you
it.
do. Here's the loo with the view. Totally. So they tell you to even be able to book this option. This is an optional activity, of course, with the cruise lines. You don't have to do this when you go to Antarctica. But if you do, you have to attend a debriefing. And they tell you that for bathroom, only number one. You cannot do a number two. So if that's an issue for you, don't sign up for this. And then what they do is they make two uh, dugouts and they have porta potties kind of like you bring to a festival and they set those out there and there's a bin that has some loo wipe, some loo roll, and yeah, it's a room with a view. It kind of faces away from the campsites and they put a little bit of a wall there behind it so you have a bit of privacy. And yeah, I had to answer the call. And wow, I don't normally do my morning business with penguins just in view, but
Yay.
it was kind of cool. Yeah, they didn't seem to mind me doing my thing. And to be clear as well, too, they tell all the men that guys, no standing up. Everybody has to use these, and you will be sitting down, and we will be as civilized as possible with our very primitive toilet.
So, how cold was that? Like, did things freeze a little bit?
Yeah, no, actually, so it was interesting. I was never uncomfortably cold during the camping experience. It was very fresh. Towards the end of it, which would I guess would have been nighttime, and the light does it changes to kind of like a soft blue, but it's not fully night, but it does get colder. But I was fine. And when they come kind of waking you up at 4 o'clock in the morning, because that's when they tear down the camp and you're back on the ship by 6. Um, I was comfortable. Like my feet were cozy. It was like 5 more minutes, please.
Wow.
So, and I didn't
Wow.
expect that because I did expect it to be kind of like a hell on earth experience, but there was something I could slip into.
Wow. I
Yeah.
like that. So was that the one of the major highlights?
I mean, definitely that was up there. It was just so extraordinary. And I would probably have to say another moment, though, that really stands out is just that feeling of arriving in Antarctica and having your first landing. So, on an Antarctica cruise, that's the flow of the activities. You're either making a scenic cruising around and just the zodiacs, or you're doing a landing. One a day of each of those. I love the landings because to set foot on Antarctica, and I remember the Zodiac just cresting up to it, swinging around. They give you these big rubber boots. I felt like Queen Elizabeth there with my Wellingtons just halfway up my legs and the black rocks and setting foot on it. Because, like, it made it so worth it. The flights from North America to South America to the bottom of Argentina across the Drake's Passage, it just all
Wow.
it was just such a moment. And then the other thing, I thought we might see penguins once or twice. They're all over the place. And so as soon as we start setting foot and we walk, they make a path that everybody kind of follows. The penguins were right there.
Wow.
Yeah, it was.
Oh, I love them. I think they're so cute. They're model. I think everybody loves that
Oh, they
though.
do. And here's something that would surprise you. And I thought about you when I was having my first moments, and I thought about everybody who's a cruise enthusiast. But for people that don't know, that combined, Lorraine and I have 285 years of experience in cruise.
Oh my goodness.
Thereabouts. No, but we've been
Wow.
around for a long time. I always kind of thought an Antarctica cruise would be like they would sail you around, and when they would see a spot they could land, they would announce and you would go out and land. It actually has ports of call, which surprised me.
Wow.
I thought it would be a land of nothingness. And these ports of call are old research huts or an old science center. So they're like these abandoned facilities. And these are the ports of call. So our first one was Port de Moy, and there was this bright orange building which was open, and we were able to go in and see what it would have been like for people who made the early exploration to Antarctica. So this was a spot where planes could land and get more fuel and then continue to the South Pole, but maybe have to spend the night and take refuge. And they still had cans of dried milk there from the early 90s and just the sleeping barracks. And it's just all been frozen in time. So,
Wow.
and I didn't
Well,
expect there to be a human
literally,
element to Antarctica, but there's
yeah,
human
literally,
history.
you don't think about ports of call. Seriously, I wouldn't have thought that ever. Like,
And another one that was really worth talking about, and you'll see this on all the itineraries, it's Deception Island. And what's cool about it is that it's a caldera volcano. So all my life, I have been wanting to see a volcano up close and personal, and in all my traveling, it's something I've yet to do. And I've now done it. I didn't think I would see a volcano in Antarctica, but this is like it's like a croissant rising out of the water. So the ship sails through the entry. It's a really cool arrival, and it's a croissant because it's a volcano peaking up. And it's considered a restless volcano. It exploded twice in the last 100 years. So the water actually was steaming when we rolled up.
wow.
And yeah, which was just so cool. And then when you get into the harbor, it was an abandoned whaling station. So it was probably the biggest thing we saw that had like human influence. But there was a few abandoned buildings and probably half a dozen big oil tankers and an abandoned airport hangar. And so we got to walk around all of that and just and check that out. But I mean, it's an active volcano in Antarctica. Wow.
Yeah, wow.
I,
And I'm just thinking of these buildings and that. I mean, everything's just left. They, everything's just left there. Nothing's taken away.
Nothing's taken away. Of course, you can't take anything. I had one person message me and they're like, bring me back a rock from Antarctica. And it was an innocent request, but you truly cannot take anything. You can't touch anything. And even with these buildings, before we would go out and have our landings, the expedition crew would go out first and prepare the site. And by that, they walk to make sure everything is safe and there's no like areas you could hurt yourself, but also put pylons around areas you can't go close. It could be abandoned buildings. It could be maybe nesting penguins. It could be anything like that. So yeah, so we were able to get somewhat close and take pictures and selfies, but you can't actually go into these buildings.
Right, okay.
Yeah,
Wow,
but
that's really good.
you just see them, and it was interesting about that. And I mean, I'm not a total scientist. I love science, but maybe because the warmer waters there, or maybe because there was a human influence there over the years. But there's actually like little lichens and plant life that we got to see there as well. So it's not like Antarctica has a ton of vegetation, but again, you can just see how it all kind of comes together. And yeah, that was just
Wow.
fascinating. Yeah.
That is really good. So you've not been to Mount Vesuvius or anything like that? None of the Hawaiian or
Nothing. I've sailed all across the South Pacific, but not to an area with active volcanoes, just dormant volcanoes.
oh, okay.
So yeah, I guess the thing for this one was I was looking for an active volcano.
And you found it.
And I found it at the bottom of the earth. And I just found something else. It was just something like I went down there expecting, honestly, I wasn't expecting much. I thought we would just sail around and find some things, and it would be cool and all. But mainly, I thought this will be continent number seven. I didn't know that it could be an actual, like, all the way destination. And I'll tell you, I would go back again. I would even cross the Drake's Passage again. I would do it all over because it was just so wonderful. One episode wasn't enough. We're breaking it into two parts. Stay tuned for our next episode.
That's it for today's voyage on the ship less traveled.
Stay connected, follow our Facebook group, and share the podcast with your cruise-loving friends.
For listeners in the UK, you can find me at bespokecruiseholidays.co.uk.
And for listeners on my side of the pond, I'm destinationwhatever.com.
We're passionate about small ship cruising, and we're not afraid to make some waves.
So join us next time on the ship less traveled.